GoLoud.
Welcome back to the Weekly Roast. How's it going, guys? How the hell are you? How are your hearts? And of course, how are your heads? Guys, what's going on? How are you doing? It's good to be back. It's good to be sitting here. It's good to be talking to you every week. We're nearly at the end of January. You have made it. Well, you haven't made it yet. We're nearly at the end. But you've nearly made it to the end of January. For some, the most depressing month of the year. So well done. I hope you're doing all right. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has been listening to the podcast over the last year. Next week, it'll be our 1 year anniversary. And I truly just want to say thank you so much. I would not have anticipated the show to have grown to the extent that it has. And I wholeheartedly appreciate it. If you enjoy the show, please do me a huge favour and just click subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. That apparently makes a big difference. And of course, sending it to a friend or a family member if you enjoy listening to it. Did you see, Kieran, that TikTok is down in America? I'm not on TikTok because, my friends, I've been saying this for about a year, maybe a little bit longer. I genuinely think and believe that we have reached peak short form content. I think it's over. I think we are finally I think there's going to be a turn in the next, I think 2025, and here's my prediction, not that anybody's asked, we are going to see a return of real life connections. We are going to see a return of long form content. We are going to see a return of meaningful stuff on the internet. I feel like short form, miscellaneous drivel is far too ubiquitous, and I think people are going to be sick of it. I genuinely believe that. Speaking of meaningful long form content, patreon.com/Mark Megan. If you enjoy the Weekly Roast, if you enjoy my shtick, please consider subscribing to the Patreon. Every week there's a new article, diary entry about life behind the scenes, or a bonus podcast or some travel writing for your perusal. There's already lots of articles and a couple of bonus podcasts there for you to listen to. Patreon.com/Mark Megan. And last but not least, on the housekeeping list, somebody was in touch with me again about the merchandise. And yes, I'm looking into it. Bear with me. I intend on getting it sorted this quarter. So if you're interested in merchandise, sit tight. If there's any designers listening to this that want to work with me, reach out. If you can hear some milky breathing in the background. As always, with a mouthful of milk and a fistful of dreams, never mind the big wolf, it's the boy who cries cream. Not a wet nurse in sight, but to his great delight, there's a man he can suckle, if you know what I mean. So he's tucked away while my memories sway. He purses his lips and catches his prey. The milkiest nipples, the fountains that spray. His white little face. Oh. Day after day. How are we, boy?
Good.
Good to have you with us, Kieran. It's the roast of mistakes at work, my friends. We've all made some of them, mine more than others. Perhaps. Who knows? We will see. Let's go. Let's get into it.
Hi, Mark. So I work as a radiographer, and one day we get this youngish guy down from one of the wards for a chest x-ray. So my colleague goes out to the waiting room, calls his name, he responds, she goes out, wheels him in, and she's setting up the room. And once she gets set up, she says, "Okay, I'm just going to get you to stand up there now for your chest x-ray." And he quickly turns sour and he goes, "Are you a fucking comedian?" And she's horrified, doesn't understand what's happened. Next thing, he peels back the blanket that's been covering his lap to reveal that he's in the hospital because he's had both of his legs amputated. Oh my God. We nearly died. And pardon the pun, but the story has grown legs, and it remains a firm favourite in the staff room.
You don't need to say the story's grown legs, but also, let's get into this now. You're phrasing it You're phrasing it like he's revealing a pair of silicone breasts, the way that he pulled back the, like, I don't believe it happened like that. Him lying there and then he peels back slowly but surely. Do you know what I mean? Like he's revealing his pubic mound in a sexual manner. Peel back is a verb usually used to describe eye-opening documentaries about the criminal underworld or foreskins.
Oh, God.
It is so. When do you ever hear, just you want to peel yourself back there? No, I don't, doctor. And yeah, I mean, it's mental. What do you think?
I don't know, like, if you were going for an x-ray,
Yeah.
surely the doctor has a chart to know Johnny here had his legs cut off.
Look, I mean, hopefully it wouldn't say that. I'm sure there'd be a little bit more medical language. But yes, surely there would be a charge. You go, oh, we've got a young man in here, double amputee. Maybe don't ask him about the legs. That is, as you might say, my boy, straight out the traps on hold on to your hats. Derangement levels of amputation miscommunication. Oliver?
So about 2 years ago now, I was working at McDonald's. I was about 16 at the time, and there was a lot of other young people working there as well. And there was a WhatsApp group chat for the employees and the managers for organising shifts and whatnot. And one day, there was a text sent in from a random number, and we all opened it, and it was a photo of one of the new hires' cock that he had accidentally sent in. Now, he hadn't even started his first shift, so needless to say, he was fired.
Okay, firstly, if you work in McDonald's and you're part of a WhatsApp group, I hope the WhatsApp group is called Big Crackin' Gifts. No? Instead of Big Mac and Chips. Doesn't really work. No. Nevertheless, if that was an accident, I do feel for the guy, okay? You know, he has my sympathies. Losing the job before you even get to start the job, like he didn't even make it to the front line. That's like one of the Ally soldiers getting shot in Aldershot and not even making it to Normandy. Do you know what I mean? That's just a little history gag for my history boys out there and girls. So, no, anyway, I love the way, though, the guy says he hadn't even done one shift yet. As if to suggest, like, you've to earn your right to send an unsolicited dick pic into the WhatsApp group. Do you know what I mean? As in, like, no, if you haven't started the job, not a chance. Work a few bank holidays, though. And then you can show us a bit of foreskin. Do you know what I mean? If you do Christmas Eve, you get to reveal the shaft. New Year's Day on Grafton Street, finish. It's completely madness. I would say that it wasn't an accident. Let's be honest. The law of averages would state that this guy was just a pervert. And that's how he gets his jollies. Sorry. I haven't heard from Mrs. Jollies in about...
Mrs. Jollies?
Where is Mrs. Jollies? We haven't heard from Mrs. Jollies in about 9 months. Jollies, if you're out there, we hope you're well. Nevertheless, imagine going to a job interview and whilst you're sitting in the job interview going... knowing deep down there's a good chance you'll never even make it to your first day of work. Such is your insatiable appetite to show strangers your knob. You knob. Like, it's... yeah, good luck. Anyway.
Hi, Mark. So I worked in a very well-known establishment and we only did a carvery and restaurant at the weekends. And one of the days on the carvery, there's a little old man coming through with a walking aid. So he was trying to manage his tray and his walking aid. So I went over to help him with his tray. And as I got to him, I took the tray and I started singing, "When your legs don't work like they used to before." So yeah, absolutely mortified. Thankfully, he saw the funny side of it because it could have gone down very badly.
Okay, well, like, hold on a second here. That's not a bad voice. I would argue that this person sent this in knowing that they have a good voice and was sort of like, you know what, let's give the old vocal cords a bit of a workout. This poor old pensioner coming back with his Yorkshire puds, he probably thought you were St. Peter's wife, Patricia, coming over to take him up above. Like, do you know what I mean? When your legs don't work, like, you didn't, of all the songs to sing, do you know what I mean? It took him by surprise. let's be honest though, I would still prefer a waiter to emerge from stage right singing Ed Sheeran than Cian de Crow to emerge from stage left singing Cian de Crow. Do you see? Does anybody see he's up to his old tricks again? Somebody sent me one of his videos in Amsterdam. Some poor lad's just having his lunch, and he pops out of nowhere with the choir. And I mean, don't get me started. It is on we go.
A few months into a new job and I'm trying to make an impression. So I have called one of our senior leadership team for an introduction. He's based in Paris, lives in an apartment in the centre of the city, and this is June. A few minutes into the call, there's like a screeching, almost like a gobble from a bird sound behind him. And then he goes, "Sorry, that's..." But I cut him off, and I say, "Oh, no worries. Do you keep birds?"
No.
And he looks quite puzzled, and says, "What?" And instead of letting him finish again, I try and guess the bird. I said, "Do you keep turkeys? It sounds like a turkey." And his face kind of drops then, and he goes, "No, sorry. That's my daughter. She's disabled."
No. No.
Yeah. Why would he keep turkeys? He lives in an apartment in Paris.
Oh.
Why would he keep turkeys? Why would he keep turkeys? Why would he keep turkeys?
Oh my God. I mean, the only turkey in this scenario is you. Why would you ever... Look, in life, much like in intercourse, if you hear a noise that doesn't make sense, give the person an opportunity to explain the source of the noise, or ignore it. Don't confuse the gobbling of a festive fowl. Like, do you keep turkeys? Unless you're a Garda interviewing Ian Bailey or standing in front of a butcher at Christmas, never ask somebody that. I cannot think of a context where a normal person would need to ask somebody, "Do you keep turkeys?" In terms of gobbling, I'd say you wanted the ground to gobble you up after that. Do I keep turkeys? Yes, oui, monsieur. And I'm actually doing this Zoom call live from the fucking coop in the Marais. This is, my boy, derangement levels. Once you're asking about the source of a strange noise, you're wading into treacle, because you will absolutely now have to comment on whatever the person says the noise is. Weird noise, just pretend that you don't, human beings are good at pretending, like the way we pretend Chapel Rowan isn't annoying, or that we like vintage shops. Can we talk about that actually for a second? Vintage shops. What is it with this universal mistruth of everybody pretending that they like... Oh, you're going to Berlin? Oh yeah, you should go to this area. There's loads of vintage shops. Cool, did you buy anything there yourself? Not relevant. It is relevant. Why is it that everybody's like, "Oh, we're going to Paris. Yeah, we found this area. It's really cool. Like loads of cafes and like vintage shops." You never buy anything in the vintage shops. Let's be everybody listening to this, can we all just be completely honest with ourselves? When you go to these city breaks, you want to get a coffee that tastes exactly like the one you get back home, and then you're going to go to the Spanish Zara. That's the reality. And you'll come out with 16 fucking bags full, and you'll be like, "It's just so much cheaper. It's just, I can't believe how cheap it is." Don't be fooling yourself with this, "Oh yeah, hey guys, heading to Amsterdam for the weekend. Let me know some suggestions for like cafes and vintage shops." Nobody wants to go, nobody actually shops in vintage shops, except for Dublin hipsters who incidentally don't do anything creative other than dress like creatives. And it's always been that way. Every vintage shop, right, is the exact same in my opinion. A few overpriced and badly shaped Adidas zippies, a selection of Native American coats that would probably get you cancelled, and then sunglasses you wouldn't wear in a dentist's chair. Do you know what I mean? The last time I've worn sunglasses that bad was when I went to see Avatar, and that was also a disaster. I just do not get the point of vintage shops. Oh, here's an old baseball bomber jacket from the 1970s. It's quadruple XL and smells like John Candy's gooch after wearing a ski suit for 17 hours during the filming of Cool Runnings. That'll be €190. Cool. Good luck. This entire place smells like incense, piss, and a Nirvana song. Do you know what I mean? And then the person behind the cash register, you know, who hasn't had a soak since the last census, looking down on you as if you're Nigel Farage for only having one colour in your fucking hair. Good luck. Vintage shops, the smell of them, they're like 15 budgies defecating all at once. It is like 5 pet shops condensed into one bad smell, and that's the entrance of a vintage store. Oh my God. And then have you seen the shoes? I went into one in Berlin and there was like a pair of shoes, Converse, more expensive than just a normal pair of Converse. And I don't understand this. Like, I could climb Croagh Patrick barefoot once a day for a decade, and I don't think the old dogs would even then be desperate enough to wear a pair of shoes purchased from a vintage shop. A bath of white spirits wouldn't rid those disgusting things of their disease. Nevertheless, let's go.
Hey Mark, love the podcast. I once used to work with this lad in a very nice bar in a hotel. Knew him from school, but let's just say the fella is not all there in any sense of the word. Anyway, we have this very nice dessert. It's a baked Alaska, and they'd have this little metal gravy boat, and they'd put fire in it, light it on fire, and then you bring it over to the table, pour it over the dessert so they could take a video of us. Then you blow out the fire and they'd eat it. And he had another plate in his hand, and he walked over to the table, and he said to the woman who the dessert was for, he said, "Do you want to just hold this for a moment?" Hands it to the woman. She takes it from the bottom, because of course she does, and it's metal and on fire. So she holds it for half a second, screams, drops it on her lap. Her lap is now on fire. No. It's on her arm, rapidly put out. Thankfully, wasn't too bad. There was no serious injuries. But, suffice to say, we all had to sign new work releases that basically stated we've been trained properly by the bar, and if anything ever happens again, they can sue the employees directly and not the bar.
Nobody deserves to go on fire. I've always said that. Okay? But, and I would say that this is karma, but probably better suited to say that she got her just desserts. Wipe the milk off your cheeks, my boy. Let's get one thing straight, okay, guys? Dinner isn't meant to be a blaze, okay? Man discovered and ultimately learned how to harness fire in order to provide human beings with heat and sustenance, not for gobshites to post Instagram stories of gooey chocolate slop with everybody going mental, you know? I do not understand anything on the dinner table, with the exception of Christmas pudding, okay? Nothing on your dinner table should be set on fire. Next to the sound of Christmas songs to a retail worker in December, there must be no noise more offensive to the ears of a waiter than the cackle of an excited group of white people when one of their desserts has smoke coming out of it. Oh my God! People lose their shit. Oh my God, this is, get the phone, quick. We are mental. This is absolutely mental. This is clinically insane. 50 fucking iPhones out on the table because Kira's ordered the molten brownie. Oh, and with 7 spoons. You know what I mean? The momentary smoke appears and the whole group becomes hysterical. I just do not. Flaming desserts, right, are the culinary equivalent of nightclubs where bottles of vodka are served with sparklers and the staff are forced to form a fucking conga line anytime somebody orders one, you know, the most indecent form of parade, you know, it's the matching tracksuit or Essex equivalent of waiters gathering around your table to sing happy birthday. I just do not. Restaurants where the dessert's on fire or nightclubs where the drinks are served with sparklers, this is when you know you're dealing with the clientele working with single-digit IQs. That's the reality. Influencers posting like a double chocolate fondant, you know, the one where you pour the thing on it and then it all explodes, and the smoke coming out of it with the Drake song over their back, like in the Instagram story, as if like that's gangster, flaming ice cream. What has gone wrong with the world that this is what we're supposed to aspire to? Fucking dessert on fire. This is the arena of life that we should all be working towards to participate in. To sit in some windowless Dubai shithole, surrounded by sterile gobshites. No, I'm going to go off on one. Nevertheless, I'm sorry the woman went in flames. Welcome back to the mistakes we made in work. Guys, I hope you're enjoying this podcast. This is my favourite time of the week, and I just want to say thank you so much to all of you who take the time to message me after listening to the show. I love nothing more than hearing from you. As you know, I have an insane superiority complex, but I'm cripplingly insecure at the same time. So it's one of those real house of cards when it comes to my emotional well-being. If you enjoy the show today, let me know. On Instagram, at Megan Mark. It'd be great to hear from you if you want to hear more or if you want to read some of my work. Patreon.com/Mark Megan. Now, on we go. I just want to say we're going to tread carefully with this section because some of them are a little bit sensitive, okay? So, it's not a willy willy bum bum section, but it's something. Oniva, let's go.
Hi, Mark and Kieran, the sucky calf. Over one of the summers there at college, I used to clean the ICU rooms of COVID patients in our local hospital. So you'd be head to toe PPE. It was actually scary enough. COVID used to be scary back then. But anyway, I was mopping away under this poor man's bed and he coincidentally stopped breathing at that exact time. And I was full sure I had pulled out some sort of essential lead or plug or something. So there was alarms, nurses, doctors all legging it over to the room and I pulled an old Irish goodbye. Still think about it from time to time. Anyway, love the pod, lads. Thanks a million.
Okay, we've sort of brushed over very quickly as to whether or not this poor fecker died. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, love the pod. Anyway, you're just about to be done for involuntary manslaughter on ya. Don't be pulling the Irish exit in order to get away with murder. Like, this is, as you might say, my boy, don't know what I'm saying. I'm surprised to hear that they're very liberal with the use of a mop and bucket in ICU. Like, I would have thought that there'd be a far less hazardous and slightly more risk-free mechanism for cleaning the floors beneath the nearly deceased than a bucket and a mop. You'd also think, like, with those those sort of machines, surely it can't be as simple as, like, if it gets plugged out, that's it, that's bye-bye nana. Like, surely there has to be some sort of reserve or battery or generator or something, no? Is it that simple as just, like, on or off? Yeah, on we go.
Hi, Mark. Love the podcast. So I think it must have been around 9-10 years ago. I was working as a waitress for a hotel down somewhere in the country of Ireland, and the group owner, like the hotel group owner, came in and ordered a bowl of hot wings. Me at the time was already awkward as hell, and I was just working as the food runner at the time, so I went to go and serve him said bowl of hot wings, and I dropped it all over his lap, like all over him. So in the moment, I don't know why I thought to do this, but it was like fight or flight. I just pretended to faint. As I dropped the bowl of hot wings, because it was either that or just have to deal with the embarrassment, and I just wanted to shut my eyes and pretend it was all a nightmare. So that was my way of coping with said accident. And I didn't last long after that, but never continued waitressing after that tragic event.
Fair play. I love it. Sorry, but we had this before. Wasn't there a fella who was cheating on his missus and then he pretended to faint at the funeral or something? I thought it was the guilt. I mean, it's an amazing way to get yourself out of life's predicaments. You know what I mean? Pretending to faint like some sort of Victorian damsel, you know, of the manor, who just heard that her daughter is fornicating with the gardener, and he, a lonely landscaper from the servant class, had somehow inseminated her. She collapses onto a chaise-longue. Oh, God. Yeah, brilliant. I thought whenever you said that there was hot wings and that's what the owner ordered, I was waiting for like a food poisoning story, and I was going to caption this, diarrhea of the CEO. And that just would have been a genius quip. People would have loved the gag and we all would have laughed our way into the sunset. Hot wings is a sloppy enough order for a lunchtime business meeting. Grow up, like. Grow up. No, genuinely, I'll have the wings, you fucking savage. Are you going to start using the finger bowl as you have a very important business chat with somebody? Just grow up. Like, wings are a sort of They're an afternoon, three mates, phones off, like you need to get into it with the wings. The wings aren't appropriate to eat. You can't take somebody seriously if they're eating chicken wings or ribs or anything like that.
What should a CEO have at a business meeting, so?
He should have a steak with the greens, $5 the CEOs read. The CEOs don't read these books, you morons. Do you know what I mean? Have you seen these Instagrams? Oh yeah, the CEO gets up at 4:30 in the morning. That's not getting up. That's just staying awake. That's just complete insanity. We have to see an end to these Instagram entrepreneurs. I'm offering a course, blah. If your business is so successful, why is it that you're offering courses on Instagram? It doesn't make any sense. You absolute spoofer. Also, you've got chicken wing sauce on your genitals. Let's go.
So I was working in a company as a personal assistant for the managing director of the company, and there was this fella that was working in the office with us, and he was an absolute fucking melt, absolutely wrecked everyone's head. Well, not everyone's head, my head and a few other birds in the place. But my boss then told me to set up a meeting with this fella for the afternoon, and that he was giving him the heave-ho. I was like, oh, grand. It was fucking delirious with myself. I was thinking, this is great. Couldn't contain the goss. Onto the email straight away to the work wife, and to let her know. And I was like, oh my God, you're not going to believe it. Just asked me to set up a meeting with he's going to give him the fucking sack Delira with life. What are you having for lunch? And then I fucking sent it, and I sent it to and we were in an open plan office, and I watched him opening it, and I nearly fucking died. I knew as soon as I sent it. Knew as soon as I fucking sent it. That was a bad day.
Yeah, that's horrendous. Now, I am the least litigious individual of them all, but surely your man would have a case there with the WRC to say, like, hiya, this is gross misconduct on the other individual. Would there be something there?
I'd say there was no handshake of sort.
There'd have to be something to be like, right, well, you've just humiliated me in front of the entire staff. She's broken some form of GDPR. Either I go straight to the top. I go straight to the top of this. I'm going to scream so loud the whole damn country will hear. Something like that, do you know what I mean? That's mortifying. There is no worse feeling than sending the text being gone, and knowing that there's nothing you can do about it. It's like, how do they not have a recall button on Gmail? Surely they should. Surely they should have some mechanism where you can recall a message. Have you ever sent a message to somebody? I mean, there was a famous one for me. I think I've told you this before, but whenever I was like 12 or 13, 23. No, I think I was like 11 or 12, and I was chatting to this girl who incidentally had been my first kiss. Some of us just couldn't move on, okay? And I was doing that whole thing, MSN Messenger. Every night of the week, you come home from school bag would be flung in the corner, you down 15 bagel bites, Gino Ginelli, slice of pizza, 16 Frubes, what have you, a couple of BNBNs, and you'd be in at the computer, the family desktop. It'd take around half an hour for the internet to load, because you'd have that screeching noise, do you know what I mean? And then you'd log into MSN Messenger and you just hammer, like 53, more than a Nigerian scam artist sending, don't worry, I'm not doing any of that today. But, you just start hammering every single person you know with, hey, how's you? Hey, how's you? What you up to? Nothing. I'm 14. I'm 12. Not doing anything. But anyway, I was chatting to this girl for ages, and I was like, so who you liking at the mo? That was growing up, that was the question. Who you liking at the mo? And then she was like, no one. Not like anyone. I was like, really? I like someone. She was like, cool, good luck with that. Do you still play rugby? Like, do you know what I mean? She wasn't giving me anything, okay? The signs were there. But if I was pushing it, that blind optimism of horny youth. And I eventually was like, yeah, I really like you. And she just didn't write back for 10 minutes, which was excruciating, of course. And then she wrote back and she was like, I just think that we're so good friends. I wouldn't want anything to ruin it. Oh, no. So I just wrote back going, poo, I'm gay. Hoping that she'd think it was someone else on my computer. Didn't work. The rumours ran riot. Everybody found out, and I never spoke to Kira again. She's married now, has a kid, and I'm very happy for her. On we go.
Hi, how are you? Oh God, even thinking about this now again. But about 6 years ago, I started a new job. That was grand. Getting ready that morning, and I grabbed a scarf out of the dryer. A black scarf. Put it around my neck, went on to work. I was there for a few hours, even went up to the canteen, was talking to a few men, made a coffee, came back down, sat at my desk. I could see a few eyeballs, but I was like, right, okay. Came to 1 o'clock, went up to the bathroom, and as you do, go to fix yourself in the mirror. I was like, oh my God, what is hanging out the side of my neck? Stuck to the scarf was a pink lace knickers, busted first, hanging out of me. I swear to God, I nearly dropped dead. I spent 20 minutes in the bathroom contemplating, will I just go through the front doors and never return again?
I mean, I'll always enjoy the word gutted. It's always going to tickle me. What I will say is, you're wearing the scarf around the office for the entire day, like some sort of scarecrow. Do you know what I mean? Or your man from Despicable Me. I think this is just, surely somebody would say something to you, walking around the office like Hannibal Lecter with a pair of jocks strapped to the kisser. Do you know what I mean? Surely one of your co-workers would mention that to you, standing by the water cooler, like Jack Black and Nacho Libre. Do you know what I mean? This is Yvonne, a word? Yes? But her voice is garbled because she's speaking through the seat of her Pamela Scott G-string. Do you know what I mean? Less Darth Vader and more Arse Vader. I just don't understand. This is madness, Yvonne. How could you be walking around with the thong strapped to the face and nobody say anything? Oh, is COVID still a thing? No. So how come you've got a thong wrapped around your mouth? Do you know what I mean? This is completely, as you might say, my boy, derangement levels. Only about.
Hi, Mark. So I work as a guard. And a couple of years back there, we got a phone call from another station to say that a gentleman had passed away and was currently in a mortuary. So my colleague, who is not the smartest or brightest, took it on himself to do all this. So I took the name and address of the gentleman who had passed away and proceeded to go to the house and tell the parents that unfortunately the man had died and was currently in the mortuary, and to make contact with the guards who was investigating the circumstances. So lo and behold, about 2 hours later, we got a phone call back to the station from the deceased's father to say that in fact he wasn't deceased. He had just got off the phone with his son, and that the gentleman who was lying on the slab was not his son at all. It was a different gentleman with the same name.
This is why the guards aren't armed, by the way. I actually am flabbergasted by this. Ringing up the wrong family to say that they're, hello? Yeah, how are you? It's the guards. Right. Do you have a son? Yeah, he's dead. Sorry? Yeah, he's dead. Where? Doesn't matter. No, he's dead. Good luck. Chat to you later. All the best. Bye-bye. This is completely insane. They got the wrong family. I think, now, by the way, I'm a huge fan of the guards, as many of you will know. I don't buy into the whole, the guards. I don't think it says a lot about the average person's trust in the Irish policing system when these two guards, right, or this guard rocked up to your man's gaff and said, oh, by the way, your son's dead. Broke arguably the most devastating news, definitely the most devastating news a parent could ever receive. And then as soon as the guards left, the father was like, I might just give him a quick ring. I might just give him a quick ring to double check that he's dead. Hello, Keith? How are you? Dad here. Listen, you're not dead, are you? No, I'm not. No, I'm cheating on my wife. I'm down in Mullingar for the weekend in the B&B. Grant, no worries. Give it socks. Don't take off the socks, though. Don't do a Mark Megan on it. Take off the socks. Yeah, chat to you later on. No, all is good. We just temporarily thought you were dead. All the best. Bye. You know what I mean? This is completely, hello? How's it going? Guard here. Hi, how are you? Yeah, I'm sorry that your son has died. No, my son's just inside the living room. He's making a cup of tea. No! I said, your son has won a prize. Like, this is just good stuff. It's the final furlong, my friends. The mistakes we've made at work. If you're enjoying the show, let me know on Instagram at @MeganMark. And if you have any suggestions of what you'd like roasted next, let me know. And lastly, but not least, I forgot to mention in the housekeeping, we are approaching Valentine's Day, and thus I might be dusting off my matchmaking boots once again. It's been a while, but I'm considering dipping the toe in the waters of romance, not for me, but for you, a little bit more in the coming weeks. If you're looking for a date, let me know. DM me on Instagram at @MeganMark. Let's get into it.
Hi Mark. So last year in our family business, a girl was buying a car. I was doing the paperwork with her. Bit of chat going on. Said to her, "When are you due?" She looked at me and she said, "I'm not pregnant." I thought I was going to vomit. Next thing, I came out in a big sweat. I actually didn't know what to say to her, and we just went silent for a couple of minutes. I still, to this day, get sick thinking about it. Thanks. Bye.
How is this still happening? When are you due? Do we not just need to sit everybody down all at once in society, Irish and otherwise, okay? And just say, please, 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 never say this unless it's offered up to you as information. Unless there is a literal foot wedged halfway out of the vaginal canal and you are a fully trained midwife, never make the assumption that somebody is pregnant. Even if you have recently been having unprotected sex with this person and watch them take a pregnancy, never, ever, ever make the assumption that somebody is pregnant. I remember... This is 100% true. I remember a guy in our class, his dad went, when we were in like third or fourth year, he went to the parent-teacher meeting, and halfway through the appraisal that his son was receiving from the economics teacher, he looks at her, and in that sort of classic South Dublin, pig-headed, walrus-bodied, middle-aged male ignorance, he goes, "So, what are you due?" And she goes, "Excuse me?" And he just then sort of headbutted the air in the vague direction of her womb and goes, "The baby, when are you due?" And she just goes, "I'm not pregnant. By the way, your son is about as thick as pig shit. I wonder where he fucking gets it from." Like, we just never learn. Human beings, we just never ever learn. It's like I was chatting to a cousin of mine on the weekend, right? And he got back from holidays, he went away with his missus, and he came back and he was like, yeah, we ended up now, I know what you're thinking, but we ended up going to an Irish bar, okay? And I was like, grand. And he was like, no, I know, like, I wouldn't be the type to go to an Irish bar on holidays. Yes, you would be, though, because you went, and that's okay. You know this whole thing about Irish bars where people act like they don't want... Everybody is so pretentious about other people going to Irish bars on holidays, but that's exactly what they do. Everybody goes to the Irish bar when they go on holidays. Like, this is the evolution. I was thinking about this. This is the evolution of the Irish bar when you're on holidays. And I know there's a little bit of, shall I say, I'm probably the least equipped person to be discussing bar culture or the frequency and how people behave and spend times in the bars. But we'll persist or continue. Nevertheless, the first step whenever someone's on holidays is they walk past the Irish bar judgmentally and they're like, "Look at that, the fucking state. That's not Irish. There's a Scottish flag in there. Fucking grouse. That's Scottish. That's not Irish. Fucking state of people in there. Jesus, you'd want to be some, whatever." Then they go out for dinner and they go to some local Italian bar that doesn't serve pints and it's €6 for a small glass of beer. So they go, sure, look, we'll go down just for a look anyway, just to see how sloppy the people are there. Because you know the way with every single Irish bar, there's always like a couple sitting outside the front who literally don't say a single word to each other for the entire 2 weeks of their holidays, but he just slowly puffs on 65 cigarettes and both of them look like they've spent more time in the sun than they're literally about to explode. You know, they're like so red and leathery. Nevertheless, you go down then, you know, to have a laugh, ostensibly just to have a laugh at the other people who are in the Irish bar. And look, we'll just go in, we'll have a pint. I'm sure the Guinness is shit, you know, yeah, we'll just go in for one. Within 1 hour, you're having a heart-to-heart with a lorry driver from Westmeath as to who was right or wrong in the Roy Keane McCarthy saga. Do you know what I mean? 45 minutes later, it's as if there's a magnetic force at play, and all of the men now, all of the Irish men have gathered around in a sort of ritualistic manner, and they start listing off various places in the holiday where they've drank pints of shit Guinness. Do you know what I mean? And then they start talking about pints of Guinness back home. This is male bonding for the modern man. It's how they communicate. It's an invitation from one man to another man to let him know, I mean no danger. And any man is free to join this conversation. The only passport required for entry is to simply say good Guinness or shite Guinness whenever a pub is mentioned. You know what I mean? Now, it's very hard to tell at night time, and most of them are wearing trousers, but usually during these bonding conversations about pints of Guinness and where does good pints of Guinness and bad types of Guinness, most of the men's willies will be wagging from side to side in their underpants like little Happy's doggies, like little doggies' tails. Do you know what I mean? This is just a friendly little bit of fellowship and camaraderie, but it's also providing a much needed pleasant respite from the perpetually engaging and connection seeking wife they've ended up going on holidays with, you know. And every now and then, with the women out of earshot, it might be appropriate to mention just how the local women are something else altogether, aren't they? Jesus, you'd want to see the eyes of the girl who checked us into our hotel. Oh no, unbelievable. You shouldn't have seen that. You don't see stuff like that back home in the winter, you know what I mean? Meanwhile, you're sweating out of your eyebrows. People love Irish bars. I just think people need to stop pretending like they don't like Irish bars. It's not cool. You know, people go on holidays like, the state of people going to Irish bars. Then within 24 hours, they're like, just can't wait to get home to get a bit of normal food. You know what I mean? You're in Madrid for the long weekend, Emer. You're not doing a food challenge and I'm a celebrity, you know? Oh, I couldn't think of anything worse than going to an Irish bar. You'd have to be a real cultureless, swamp-dwelling, meathead gobshite to go in there, wouldn't you? Fast forward 5 hours and you're doing body shots off the lorry driver's wife clean as midriff while the jukebox plays Linger by the Cranberries for the 16th time in a row. Do you know what I mean? The Italian bartender has completely surrendered himself to the frenzy of punters, and he's cowered beneath the bar with his fingers in his ears while we all get in the tables barefoot dancing to Bewitched. Irish people doing Irish dancing on holidays, that's gone. That has to go. That just needs to stop. I don't care about fucking Joe.ie and the Irish football fans and the only in Ireland do people do this, only in Ireland, only the Irish fans, you'll never beat the Irish. 7-0 to the Faroe Islands. Gone. Out in the first round. But 2 lads helped an old woman cross the road while singing fucking the Cranberries. Good luck.
Hi, Mark. So I was a student nurse in a very large Dublin teaching hospital in 1990. And one night a patient died, which was quite a common occurrence, unfortunately. But we were tasked with filling his orifices, i.e. any openings, with cotton wool. And I was turning the patient over to my other student colleague, and the poor man fell out of bed. This was detrimental to his family coming in to see him laid out. So to say it was a challenge to get him back into bed without having to inform the night matron was a challenge, but we managed it. Yay!
Like some people do high rocks. Do you know what I mean? Other people heave the cold, lifeless body of a former patient on their shoulders and lift them back into bed. That's the true definition of a deadlift, am I right?
Yeah.
I just don't... How hard were they stuffing the orifice that the corpse fell out of bed? Like, was she using a snooker cue? Do you know what I mean? Don't go gently into that good night. He certainly didn't. He ended up getting a posthumous concussion after having his bum stuffed with cotton wool by a heavy-handed orderly from Mullingar. Absolutely outrageous. Cotton wool. Surprised at that, to be honest. Could they not use something a bit more adventurous? Especially if they're getting cremated, you know? Maybe a bit of sausage and stage stuffing or something. Do you know? Or at the very least, like a couple of sprigs of rosemary. Kieran, hear me out. If I die tomorrow, okay, I give you full permission to break into the infirmary in the dead of the night, okay? You can fill a bedpan full of dairy, if that's what you're after. But I'd like you to sprinkle some black pepper in my mouth and shove an apple up my bum. Do you know what I mean? When I go out, I want to go out roasting. Because I'm a comedian, you can be sure there'll be a lot of crackling. Good, that's the end of the podcast. It's been a good run. Just before the year, we are over. I'm officially unfunny. Hola.
Hi Mark, just a work story for you. This is years ago. I left a drunken voicemail for my boss at 1 a.m. on a Sunday saying I wouldn't make it to work in the morning due to a vomiting bug. I woke at 7 a.m. the following morning, totally forgot about the 1 a.m. message and left another one saying I had an emergency dental appointment and wouldn't make it to work. I arrived to work on the Tuesday completely clueless until quizzed on which reason was the truth. He made me listen to both voicemails. I opted for the dental appointment. He queried the 1 a.m. message, but I put it down to being delirious with tooth pain, and he hounded me for weeks for a dental note. I actually rang and begged and pleaded with my dentist to write me a note, but he couldn't. And I avoided my boss for weeks like the plague. I actually had the audacity to tell my boss that my dentist had gone on a 3-week holiday and that I'd have the note to him in 3 weeks.
In terms of lying your way out of lies, this woman is halfway to Australia in terms of digging. Like, this is lies on top of lies on top of lies. Dragging the dentist into the mix. I mean, gee, that is another avenue of deceit we did not need to wander down in this self-induced dilemma. Like, just say that you were spiked. Do what everybody does when they lie and they get too pissed. Oh yeah, Jesus, I must have gotten a bad pint last night. Which one of the 14 was the bad one? Nevertheless, I just think that the person could lie. If you've done the double drunk call, it's slop. I just think the double drunk call is a disaster. The only way to get out of that, as far as I'm concerned, is to say you have absolutely no recollection and that you must have taken a bad turn, you must have had a bad reaction to your medication, and you were going to the GP today, and then go to the GP and tell, that would be the only way if you really wanted to get out of it. The dragging the dentist is never going to do that, or at least the dentist might say to you, oh yeah, just come in to me for a quick chat. That'll be €750. Unbelievable dentists. It's genuinely, I've always said that the reason why the dentist has the mask on his face is because, or her face, is because they don't want you to see them smiling throughout the whole thing. Oh yeah, I might just give you a little zing there. They use words like that. Oh, just a little zing. That'll be 45 quid extra. Oh, and then we're going to use the seal there. Really? Well, yeah, okay. Just use the seal. That's an extra €80 on top of the bill because we use the sealant. But hold on, you never gave me a choice. You just did all of these things. We're all in the wrong gig. The right gig to be in is anything wedding related or dentistry. I went to my GP a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, €75. Sorry, it was €70 last year. Yeah, it's just up a fiver. Why? It just is. It's up a fiver for everybody all the time. There you go. We're in the wrong gig. Patreon.com/
In one of my first jobs about 15 years ago, I worked in a small office, just me and my manager, and the room was really tiny with no windows, and my manager farted all day long. The smell was horrific, and I knew it wasn't me, obviously, so that could only leave one culprit. So we talk about this in the evenings when I went home with my boyfriend. And the next day I went into work, or one of the days I went into work, and he let rip again. And I emailed my boyfriend and said, oh my God, he farted again. Thought nothing of it and kept working. And then a few minutes later, I get an email back from my boss saying, what's this about? And he stood up and walked out of the room. I went into full cardiac arrest. I felt the blood draining from my entire body. And when he came back in, I just emailed him back like nothing had happened, with the most bullshit excuse that I can't even remember now, but something along the lines of an in-joke, my cousin, and sending it to the wrong person. And when I think about it today, or when I talk about it today, it still sends me into a bit of a spin. 2 weeks later, the company shut down and I lost my job, and I was absolutely delighted. So yeah.
I absolutely love this. That's what you get. That's what you get, by the way. The flatulent manager deserves every ounce of that embarrassment. What's all this about then? You're flatulent. You're arse. You're non-stop gaseous anal discharges into the air all around the clock. Stop. I love her excuse. It's pretty absurd. It reminds me. It reminds me of. Did I ever tell you about the time I got my first camera phone?
No, go on.
So I was I was like 13, 12 or 13. So let that be just in case anybody thinks that, okay, I was 12 or 13, right? So this is before social media happened, like took over. 12 or 13, probably like 2001, 2002, 2002, 2003. I got my first ever camera phone. So I think it was like a Panasonic or some weird non-existent brand now discontinued camera phone. And because it was before social media, like nobody really knew what to do with camera phones. So all the pictures on my phone were just like random ones of my back garden. Do you know what I mean? Like a trampoline or an attempt to be artistic of the dart, you know, or like cartoon boobs downloaded from Phonoerotica. Anyway, I had the phone, the Panasonic lad, for about a year, and then I wanted a new phone. So I sold it to a lad in class. Shane, his name was. And sold to him for like £80 or something, or €80 it would have been. And he came into class the next day and he was like, on the top of his voice, Megan! I was like, yeah? He was like, why is there a picture of a small dick on this phone? And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then he showed it to me. And there it was, my friends. Like, literally, I had forgotten that obviously the first day that I'd gotten the phone, I had obviously just curiosity had gotten the better of me. And there it was, post-bath, flaccid to the touch, curled up and chilling against my thigh, like it was trying to hide behind my legs, was my tiny little todger, okay? And I was like, and I couldn't think fast enough, right? So the excuse that I came out with was, yeah, that just came with the phone. Penis images already installed on the phone. I mean, even to the infinitely far-fetched imagination of another 14 or 13, 12-year-old boy, it seemed pretty farcical. Phones coming installed with flaccid penis pictures in the camera roll is absolutely absurd. Nokia phones get snakes, Panasonic phones get worms. Do you know what I mean? This is completely, even before the Me Too movement, it would be fairly controversial to sell phones with pictures of cocks already installed to the device. Oh, still less offensive than the U2 album. Brilliant. Only that.
When emails were the big thing going around the office, we used to send funny emails around to everyone. But one particular email was JPEGs, and the JPEGs were all the different noises of different types of farts. And if you click on each one, they would make the sound of different farts. So I emailed it to the finance director by mistake. And a few hours later, he called me down to his office, closed the door, sat me down, and asked me to explain what the email was and to explain what the noises meant. Needless to say, I was so embarrassed, and ever since then, I always check who I'm sending an email to. Thank you.
A couple of things with this one, right? She says, when emails were the big thing going around the office. Like, as if they were a trend. Do you know what I mean? As if she's talking about Von Dutch hats or Furbies. Do you know what I mean? Emails aren't like mini disc players or tuberculosis. Do you know what I mean? They're not just something that was once everywhere and now is nowhere to be seen. Like, people still use emails. And then I love the way she says, the different types of farts. As if it's like a well-known list. Do you know what I mean? Like the sort of the periodic element table of farts. Do you know? As if there's like a finite amount of farts and the email that she sent contained all of the farts. How many farts was there on the list? Like, how many farts would you say there are? 7? Do you know what I mean? 23? I don't know. The guy that asked her that, hold her in front of him to then talk through and explain each individual fart, he's an ass pervert. That's the game. Guaranteed to be a bum freak. There's no two ways about it. Asking a female colleague to come in and to hourly describe the noise and what each fart represents, that is somebody with a bum fetish. Nevertheless, Kieran, I want you to come up. Thank you so much for listening to the Weekly Roast. Guys, it's a pleasure talking to you each and every week. I love being here with you. If you enjoy the show, send me a message on Instagram at @MeganMark. Do me a favour, send the show to a friend of yours. Bring on another listener. It would mean the world to us. I hope you're doing well. Nearly at the end of January. Hope you've gotten through it okay. The days are getting slightly longer, and I hope your moods are getting better. Wish you all the best, and I'll see you very soon. Take care.